Now coming to the next topic, this is generics in Java. So usually like Java collections and generics, mostly in core Java people will not learn, but these are important in case of understanding Java collections, and also if you are trying to develop some automation frameworks or understand the existing framework. So generics knowledge is also important. Generics is slightly advanced concept, but it's simple to understand. So, and in generics there are so many topics are available. So, but I am going to give only basic examples and basic information that should be sufficient to understand any code that we write in future, and also whatever code is available in any automation framework you can easily understand that. Up to that is sufficient. But generics is a very vast topic, and there are so many permutations and so many topics are there, but don't need to learn everything, but only the basics we will learn today. So generics are used to create something like parameterized types in Java. So what is parameterized types and other things, we will see some coding and understand these things. So why we use generics? Generics are used to create parameterized types in Java programming. So it is introduced in Java JDK 5.0. So generics is available not from the beginning of programming, but based on some uh, problems that are encountered in Java initial programming, they have started introducing this in JDK 5.0 onwards. 5.0 is also released long back, but from 5.0 it is introduced, and it is nowadays extensively used in most of the development projects and also in the automation framework development. But a beginner will not mostly use these things, but this is also important to learn the basics. At least you should be aware of how to declare a generic, and if you are thinking about Java collections also, generics knowledge you should have some idea. Otherwise some syntax why we are writing we will not know. So using generics we can create like using the generics we can create classes with different parameter types. So that I will show you an example. So how we will generally write, right? So if I take a class and give some class name, so this is a basic class I am writing, and suppose I am creating an integer value variable here, int value. If I create an object for this class, what I will do, I will create an object, give the class name and create an object, and then using that object this value can be always an integer data type, int data type only it can have. Suppose if I give float f1, something I am giving. So it's the same data type I have to use during the runtime also. I cannot change the data type value during the runtime. This is not possible during this simple class. But in case of if you are parameterizing this data type, right, then in the case of generics, it is possible to parameterize even the data type. So the data type you can parameterize. So how can we do that? We have to specify something like this in brackets and specify the type. So the type generally we will specify as a single character. It can be anything between A to Z. Capital letter we will use most of the times. So A, B, C, like that, anything you can specify up to Z. So generally type we will specify as T. So this type I am saying, right, data type, int, float, everything is a data type. So the type if you want to specify, you are going to specify this type T. Any character you can give, A or B or C up to Z, A to Z, anything you can specify, but I am giving T here, and the standard you can follow. So anything from A to Z, anything can be specified. So there are some standards I will explain further. So after the class name you can give this diamond symbol. So this is called as diamond symbol. So this is diamond, and inside the diamond you are going to give this type, whatever name you can specify. And here instead of int, right, you can give the type. Whenever you are creating an object for this class, you are going to create pass some type here. Suppose it is an integer or float or any other user defined class also you can pass here. So the type will be passed during the runtime. So it is called as parameterized types. So at the runtime, the objects handling will happen. So the coding I will show you, like you will understand easily. So this is the basic syntax of how we can create a generics class. So if you are not passing generic, it will be always using the integer values. So suppose if I am giving int and float here, always the same data type we have to use. But at the runtime, I want to decide what data type I want to use, right? Then I can use a generic here. Generic means we are not specifying the data type during the return whenever you are declaring the class. But during the runtime, you are going to decide what you want to do, whether I want to pass integer or float or whatever. And in case of generics, we can only use generics works with only classes, interface, and enum. So only these three types are supported in generic. So here you cannot pass the primitive values. Primitive in the sense int, float, char, char or double in small letter, right? Primitive data types are not supported in generics. Primitive data types are not supported. But all the user defined data types or classes, string is a class. It is an inbuilt class, but accordingly, like this class name is a user defined class, right? Even you can pass a class also, you can pass interface, you can pass enum. So extensively we are going to use in automation these things, but enum we don't pass most of the times. But these three are supported in generics if you are passing the type. So you cannot pass an integer here. So primitive types you cannot pass inside the generic values. And the main importance of generics is it will help in type safety. So what is type safety? Suppose I am declaring any variable called int, right? And suppose some value I am assigning. So in this variable, integer variable, if I am assigning a string in double quotes, it will throw an error saying that in the int data type, you cannot specify a value of string. So Java is a type safe programming language. So any data type you are generally specifying, right? After you specify the data type, you cannot change the data type to another data type directly. So you can either use some typecasting or you can use wrapper classes. Some concept you can use to change the type which is related only. You cannot do the typecasting or something randomly also. But this Java is a type safe language. Only the whatever type you are specifying, only that type you can able to assign the values. And generic will help us to achieve the type safety. If you are suppose saying like wrapper classes are there. So wrapper classes we are going to use in Java collections. So like integer, and what else we have? We have float and double. We have so many, right? String is not a wrapper class. So string is an inbuilt class in Java, but these things are wrapper classes, right? So these wrapper classes are also classes. So generic supports wrapper classes, and also strings also we can pass as a type here. So whenever you are creating an object and passing this type at the runtime during the object creation, at that time this type will get decided and accordingly the memory is allocated. During the compile time you are not specifying any type, you are parameterizing your type. The type T here says that it is a parameterized type. Why it is parameterized? During the runtime you want to specify what data you want to pass. During the compile time I don't want to do that. So that is the main use case of generic, like you want to do the parameterizing of type at the runtime only. So either class or interface or enum, anything you can pass. And coming to these standards, right? What are the different standards that we generally like? This is a notation only. E is used for element, mostly used for Java collections. So instead of capital T, you can specify E. A to Z, anything you can specify. There is no restriction. We don't use small case. So better always you use capital case only, A to Z. T is used for type and E is used for denoting the element. So the even if you give t also for everything, there is no problem. There will not be any error. But this is the like some kind of standard notation in Java programming people are following. Key is k is used for key, v is used for value, so t is used for type. So these are the things. Maybe some coding in standards you will observe these things, but there is no limitation like only E you need to use or K you need to use. But we can use whatever standards we want to follow. If you want to follow everywhere as T also, it is totally fine. So now let's start write some program, and then you will understand this topic better. So this is just a theory part. Now let me go and write some program in this Java day 25 package. So create a class, generics demo I am taking, public static void main, click on finish. So generics demo class I have created. So before going to the main method, what I am going to do, I am going to create a class. You can specify any name. There is no restriction like this name only you have to specify. Look, so container class I am taking. Class name can be anything. So just for naming convention, I'm taking some name of class like container. And in this class, suppose if I'm, as I told, I want to specify int value, right? So this is the variable whenever you are creating an object for container. Now ob object dot value. Can I assign string value here? It will not allow me to proceed. Why? Because cannot convert from string to int. In this case, it's not allowing me to proceed. So you have to assign only numbers here. So you cannot, if you are giving like this, you cannot parameterize your object. So this object, if I want to support either float or string, it's not going to be possible. In case I am going to parameterize here, right? So t I am specifying at the class name. So this t I need to specify. Instead of int, you put the t there. So in this case, what happens? The data type is parameterized based on the object runtime, whatever I am creating, that will decide the data type of the variable. So in this case, you cannot use int like this. So you cannot specify int here. So you need to specify integer. Wrapper class you need to pass. So integer wrapper class you need to pass. And on the right side, new container you are giving, right? After that, you have to give this diamond symbol. So this symbol is required whenever you are specifying this type. So here also you can pass integer, and this is optional. Whatever you are going to give on the new keyword, that in that case that is optional. But on the left side, this is mandatory if you want to give the data type generic properly. If you are not specifying, then it will be a let me think like I am not specifying anything. So it is asking for error like incorrect number of arguments of the type t. It cannot be parameterized with this one. So okay, let me remove this. So container is a raw type. So if you are not specifying any type, you are declaring the class as a type, but in case you are not specifying any type, right? This can be used to store any kind of object, but that is not the raw type in the sense you can able to store any type of objects. Suppose I am doing object dot value equal to even string also I can pass. So this object it will be of the category of object class variable. Object is the super class of all the classes, right? So if you are not specifying any type, it will treat like an object class, which can be like a generic type. But if I want to specify an integer value, number I want to specify, use a wrapper class, And on the right side you have to specify this diamond symbol. This is mandatory if you are passing the generic here. So in that case, if I am specifying integer, you cannot use a string here, cannot convert from string to integer. This is not possible. So this is invalid. Whenever you are specifying a value of integer, you have to only specify the values of integer only. And here you can specify anything, any number of variables. So t I am specifying, and I can specify any number of variables. All those variables I can assign some values. So dot id equal to 101, object dot key equal to 1000. So any number of variables I can pass, and all those, if I am passing this generic data type during the runtime, this is object creation runtime. This is compile time, right? Declaring the class. So the data type I am parameterizing in this case. This is the use case of generic, and suppose I am creating one more container. In this case, I am passing string only. So object one I am specifying here, new container, and give this diamond symbol. With or without the string you can pass. Either you can pass string also, which is fine. Now using this object one, I can able to store the value of string. Swaroop, Swaroop Nadella, and the next one is ID, right? So the variable is ID, and if I am object one dot key, if I want to store even the key also, I can store something like this. So Swaroop Nadella Academy. So value, ID, and key. So this way, parameterizing the data type, you are going to parameterize the data type using the class declaration, and using that in the runtime. This is object creation is the runtime coding. So you are going to pass the class only. So generic supports classes, interfaces, and enums. So you should use either one of them. Primitive types are not supported. You should not use the int, float, double. Like, what are primitive types? Int, float. In small case, everything is small case. These things are not supported. Short, byte, long. So all these 8 data types we cannot use. Use the wrapper classes, and string is an inbuilt class, which is totally fine. Like this, you can. This is the basic example parameterizing the thing, and we are using it generic. So this is one example. Suppose you want to pass multiple values. So generics demo 2. Let me create one more class. Generics demo 2. Select public static void main. I am going to create one more class. So class any name I can give. Test I am giving. In this case, I am going to pass two types. One is maybe think like integer I am going to pass during the runtime, and another one is a string I am going to pass. So let me take t1 type equal to something like I will give the variable name as id, and second is let me take as name. I don't want to hard code this. I want to decide during the runtime what I want to do. So test I am giving, and give the object name equal to new test. Give the bracket. In this case, I can pass two wrapper classes. Both integer I can pass, or integer and string, anything like different data types I can pass. Only class format you have to pass, not the primitive type. So integer is a wrapper class. Here you can pass float also, which is totally fine. Or if I want to pass double or character, anything I can pass. So let me take like string, integer and string I want to pass. So object, and On the right side, if you leave empty also, which is fine, but you need to mandatorily give the diamond symbol. So this is mandatory. Otherwise, it is giving some warning, which is fine, but needs unchecked conversion to test. So better you can give the diamond symbol. Just remember the syntax, but you are parameterizing and passing the data type in the object creation time. That is the only thing you have to see. So object.id equal to, I can specify number, object.name equal to, since it is a string, I have to pass string only based on whatever you are passing the type here. So type T1 and T2, I'm passing integer and string in this case. So integer and string I need to pass. So if you want to see the values on the console, you can object.id you can print. Object.name I am going to print. Run as Java application. So the generics concept, we are not going to explicitly say like generic every time in even in Java collections, but we are going to use the standard notation whenever you are passing some type for the Java collections. So that's why Java collections, if you need to understand better, I just wanted to cover the generics topic also. This is also an important topic, but I covered only up to the basic part. And there are so many other things like wildcard and so many other concepts are there in generic, but even I didn't use it extensively. So you don't need to know everything in generics, but up to this is important. So the first demo is for single type I am creating. Second demo is for multiple types. So you can specify any number of types like this. So using the comma separator, you can declare any number of types, but majorly we are going to use one type or two types. So if you take a hash map, it will have two types, key and value pairs. So during the collection, so you will understand why I told this one also. But generics is important, so try to practice it little bit. This is more than sufficient. So you are parameterizing the data type for the class. That is the only thing for generics. So for framework development in future, you want to learn more about generics in advanced way, you can always learn. There is so much content available on generics, but if you don't want to learn also, at least up to this you should know. So that if anyone asks in Java collections why we are passing the in the bracket integer or also why we are passing for the hash map integer and string, you can say that it is a generic and this parameterized wrapper classes we are passing something like that, you can say based on whatever you understood. So this is the basics of generics. So generics topic is done, and I can show one example using the array list also, but let me show that array list topic whenever I am discussing the Java collections. So now I will start with the maybe you can think like a last topic in Java, core Java topic. So it is collections in Java. So which is very important. Even theoretically, all the concepts in Java collections you have to be aware of. And in the programming also, Java collections is frequently used in I mean the programming coding perspective. So you have to know these things. So I will cover the array list topic only today. Some part of array list I will cover today, and some basics of Java collections we will learn. And in the next session, we will also learn HashSet and HashMap. Tomorrow's session. So why the collections name came for this, right? So in English language, what is collections? So collection is nothing but a group of objects or group of items. So if you are saying any set of items, we are saying like it is a collection, right? So similarly, a group of objects in Java programming is called as a collection. Group of items or group of objects. So this is a theoretical concept on English, in English language, if you are saying collection means it is a group of items or objects. In Java programming, if you want to manipulate a multiple objects, right, then we will use this collections. So collections is used to store only the objects only. That means whatever classes are available inside the programming, or if you are creating even user defined class also, those classes you will create objects and use it inside the collections. So collections are not useful for primitive data types. You cannot store any primitive values. It will get converted into the wrapper class concept and then only create the objects. Internally the conversion will auto happen, and it will assign into the collections. So collections will work only with the objects. It will not work with any primitive types. Now coming to the basics of Java collections, right? So inside Java collections, there is some collection interface is there. Collection is an interface in java.util package. So java.util is an inbuilt package in Java programming. Collection is one interface. Along with this, there are so many other interfaces, but collection is one of the main interface in uh, java.util. So let me write simple diagram to explain this. So let's take like collection. So collection is an interface. Now this collection is extended into some more child collection, child interfaces again. So uh, there is a another interface called list. List is one interface, and there is another interface called set. Set is another interface. So from interface to another interface, collection is the parent interface. So list and set are child interfaces. So you need to use this keyword of extends. So this is the inheritance concept we have discussed it. So interface to interface extends keyword we will use. So these are inbuilt interfaces only. We are not defining anything explicitly. So collection is one interface in Java programming, and then list is one interface which is extending the collections. Set is one interface which is extending the collection. So this is one interface. Set is also one interface. So collection is interface, list is also interface, set is also one interface. So we need to learn the topic of array list and hash set. So if I take the array list is a class, and there is one more class called hash set, which is also a class. So these are extending, these are implementing the list and set interfaces. So list is one interface and it is implementing using the implements keyword. Array list class is defined, and inside array list class every method is having some method body, but in case of list interface everything is an abstract method and there will not be any method body uh, in the inside the list interface. But using the array list class we can always use all the methods inside the array list class. And hash set is also one class which is implementing the set interface. So you should use the implements keyword. It is already done. We do not need to do explicitly. It is all this whatever in this diagram, right? It is already available in the Java programming. But if anyone asks any kind of interview questions like what is list, what is set, what is array list, and what is the array list parent, you have to explain maybe in this way of diagram or something like. Uh, Even if it is an online interview also, open a paint and you can draw the diagram. If it is a physical interview, you can write on a paper also. So collection is an interface. It is extends the list interface, and interface to interface we should use the extends keyword. So set is an interface, collection is an interface, and then set interface you are implementing into the HashSet class. All this is inheritance concept only. I am just repeating here for the collection. So list interface we are implementing in the ArrayList class. So up to this is fine. So let me explain for the map also. So there is a map interface in programming. Map is also one interface. Map is different and collection is different. So both are not related to each other. Map is one interface and it is going to implement the hash map. So hash map is one class. Hash map is a class. So interface to class implements keyword. So this interface map is implemented into the hash map class. So map interface and collection both are independent, both are not related to one another. So collection is independent and map is independent, both are different, there is no relation between each of them. So everything is having unique methods and unique properties for in case of collections we use only insert the values, but in case of hash map, right, key and value we will specify. When we deal with hash map topic we will cover what is key and what is values and all. uh, so list array list, so array list logic we will learn today basically, and hash set we will cover tomorrow, and even the hash map topic. Now let me show you one Java collection hierarchy. So the basic thing I explained you, like collection, list, set, array list, hash set. Now coming to the overall picture of the Java collection interface. So collection interface is having many other interfaces. If you see in this, if I zoom in, right, the blue color is interface and the green color is class. So the dotted line is implements and extends is for a solid line, solid arrow. So iterable is the interface, is the parent interface from that Java collection interface is there. So under the collection interface, there are three child interface: list, queue, and set. So under list, we are having the classes like array list, linked list, vector, stack, and there is a queue. Under queue we are having priority queue is a class, dq is an interface, array dq, and we don't need to remember all these things, but just for idea we need to know that under collection we are having multiple interfaces. So collection is not having only one interface, like list is there, set is there, queue is there, three interfaces are there. So coming to the set, hash set we are going to learn, and there is another class called linked hash set. There is also a interface called sorted set. So blue color is interface. Sorted set and tree set is a class. So green color is class here. So tree set will be implementing the sorted set interface. So in this overall diagram, we are going to learn only array list, hash set, and a map is a different thing. So map is not related to anything in this diagram. Map is having a different hierarchy. So this is about Java collection interface hierarchy. So collection is an interface and all these properties are there, like these classes and these interfaces are available. So at least remember some of them. So iterable is the parent interface and collection is the child interface. List, queue, and set are the child interfaces. Array list class will come under the list interface. Hash set will come under the set interface. So up to this should be sufficient for a beginner Java programmer. But if you want to learn after 6 months or 1 year, you can always learn tree set and linked list and tree set and linked hash set. This should be sufficient. Stack and queues are not important, but for data structures, stack and queues are important. So collections, Java collections hierarchy, this is the basic idea. So this document I will share with you. You can download from the course. So these images also I will save it later. Otherwise we can save it. Collection interface. So this is map interface. I'm going to close these things. So just refer these images again and you can make some notes. So this collection hierarchy also I will share it later. Now let's come back and we will go through few things and write some small code and continue with the next steps. So collections can store only objects. As I told, only objects can be stored in collections. Either it is array list or hash set or hash map. Always we will use the objects only. We cannot store the primitive types. Even if you are trying to store some number also, internally it is converted into a wrapper class, related wrapper class like float or integer or double, and that object will get created in the inside the collections. So now let's see the topic of array list and few coding we will do today. So array list in Java. So array list can store heterogeneous data. So this is allowed. You can able to store different data types. And suppose you are passing a generic, right? Generic wrapper class you are passing. Then the heterogeneous data means different data types. Like you can store the integer values, integer or string or float, anything you can pass, right? All these are different data types you can able to store inside an array list, which is totally fine. This is allowed. We will see in the coding all these points, so step by step. So and the insertion order is preserved in case of array list. So whenever you are inserting some values, right, all the values will be inserted in step by step in an index format. This is similar to the array only. In case of array you are going to specify only single data type, but in case of array list, if you don't specify any data type, it can store any kind of data. And it is also based on index only, and the insertion order is preserved. In case of array also, the insertion order is preserved, right? Array index 1 0 1 2 3, like that we can call any index. Similarly, array list also, you are inserting some values into the array list, so you can use the index in order to retrieve those values. And whatever value you are inserting in a particular order, all the order will be maintained. So the insertion order is preserved or maintained in case of array list. And duplicate values are supported. So you can insert multiple duplicate values, which is totally fine. Array list will not throw any error. And multiple null values are supported. Even if you insert null like that, multiple values also, which it will not throw any error. It is totally supported. And array list is a dynamic array. In case of a regular array, right, you are going to give int array and give the inside the bracket like int arr equal to new int of 5. Suppose I am giving like this. This is a numeric array. This is a regular array. So size you are going to specify in case of regular array. But in case of array list, it is a dynamic array. We will not specify any size when you are creating an object for this. Array list is a class, right? So you don't need to specify the size of the array list when you are creating the object. So it is a dynamic array. So it can grow like infinite during the runtime. You can insert any number of objects based on your requirement. And it will, without specifying size, you can declare the variable, and during the runtime you can continue to insert more values. So array list is called as dynamic array, but not regular arrays is a static. It is a fixed size. So if you give 5 means only 5 memory will get created in case of regular arrays, but size you don't specify in case of array list. This is the advantage of using array list. So these are the main basic properties of array list. So if you are not specifying any data type, it can store multiple types of data. Insertion order is preserved. Using the index, you can retrieve the values. Duplicates are allowed. Multiple null values are supported. Array list is a dynamic without specifying any values. Specifying the size. Specifying the size, you don't need to specify the size during object creation. You can insert any number of values during the runtime. So this is totally fine. So now let's try to create some program for this and understand more about the array list. Create a new class called ArrayList demo and select the main method. Click on finish. How we write an array list? Array list, any name I can specify and give array list new. Array list ARR list, any name I can give equal to new array list bracket. So this is a constructor calling, and there is an error, so keep the cursor and import this array list from the java.util. So array list import statement is mandatory, and if I place the cursor on this array list variable, it is not used, they are saying. So which is fine. So this is how you can create the declaration, like creating the object declaration or creating object. So this is one way of creating the array list object. You can also create one more way using the list interface, right? You can give some name and give array list. So during the interface topic, I told like using the parent interface, you can always create the child class object, and using this reference variable, you can able to use the methods which are available inside the list interface that are implemented inside the array list class. Even during the typecasting also, I told like using the parent class reference variable, you can create the child class object. So array list is the child and list is the parent. Either it is an interface or a class, you can always create the reference variable for the interface or the class for the parent. Left side thing is reference variable, and the right side concept is the object creation. So the object is for the child class, reference is for the parent. So using this, if you are trying to use this list object, right, list reference variable, you can always use the methods which are defined inside the list interface. So this is one way. Directly you can create the array list object and array list reference variable. This is fine. Or list reference variable and array list object also you can define. This is one way. So the list also let's import. So the you need to import it. In case you want to import everything, right? You can specify star here. Dot star, if you specify, everything will get imported. Let me remove list. So everything is imported. Dot star means everything is imported. So there is no error for array list also. There is another way you can define. So in this first type, you can able to assign any different data types. So in the first case, you can insert different data types, and the second case also different data types you can insert. There is a third example. So array list, some name I am giving and give new array list. In this case, I am going to pass the generic here. Suppose I want to insert only integer values. So you put the diamond symbol on the right side. So here integer you can specify, or if you don't specify also, same integer it will be considered in this object. So this is the third way you can denote. So here only integer values you can store into the array list. If you are passing integer as the generic, then you need to store only the integer values. You don't you want to store multiple kinds of values, then you can able to use this one. So the problem with this one is that if you are not specifying integer, right? Suppose if I want to insert different datas, and during the runtime, what happens? Suppose if I am assigning these values into the integer primitive types, then the errors will happen, and explicit typecasting and all you have to do. So that's why most of the times we prefer using this statement only. Generic we will pass. Only specified data type you will be passing, and you will create an object. So anyway you can do. So I am going to comment out the second and third way, and let's try to add some variables and like insert some values into this. So this is the declaration part. Three ways you can do. The next part is adding the values, adding the data into the array list. If I want to add the values into the array list, right? So ARR list is the variable name. ARR list dot add method is there. So the add method is supporting object, and there are so many other things. So let me take. So here I can pass 100. Since I did not specify any data type here, I can insert any value. Add of, I can even insert string also. This is heterogeneous. First point is done. So heterogeneous data is supported. If you don't specify any generic in this case, it will support the raw data. So if I place the cursor here, array list is a raw type. Raw type means it is an object type. Object is a superclass. So if you are parameterizing in this way, right? I told previously element or type. So if you are specifying that, then only integers are supported. In this case, you can add any kind of values. I can also insert floating values also. I can insert a floating values also. I can insert a boolean also, like true or false is a boolean. So any heterogeneous values I can pass if I am not specifying any data type here. So this is called as raw type. Raw type means there is no data type specified for this array list. So only problem is that suppose if I want to int a equal to arr list uh, dot, there is a method called let me put get method. So if I am giving using this get method, there will be error saying that type mismatch cannot convert from object to int. This raw type is an object data type. If I place the cursor on this array list, this is saying raw type, right? Raw type means it is not having any specific type. So it is a type of object. Object is the superclass of all the data types or any classes, right? Object is the data type. If you want to convert it, this topic come under typecasting. This is not important. Why we use integer? I wanted to say that in order to avoid this explicit casting, if you specify only integer, right? If I suppose give integer in this case, so I am giving integer and give the diamond symbol, then typecasting is no longer required. So generally we use only for single similar type of data, but heterogeneous is also supported. Heterogeneous is totally supported, but most of the times we use array list for single type of data only. So the third case is most frequently used, but even the first case is allowed, and this is there from the beginning of Java programming. But generics is inserted in Java JDK 5 only. So let me, these are the four heterogeneous data I have passed, and adding the data topic is done. So now what I will do, I will be retrieving the size of the array list. Similar to the length method, or string is also having length method, the size of the length of the string or length of the array, right? Similarly, array list is also a method called size. So arr list dot size. If you are using the size method, it will return a value of size. You can store it in another variable, and you can also print that on the console size, or directly array list dot size you can specify. This way you can able to use the size method, dot size method, to retrieve the size of the array list. So here four values I have inserted: first value, second value, third value, fourth value. So you, this way you can able to retrieve the size of the array list. In case you want to print the values of the array list, so print the values in the array list. If you want to simply do right directly, you can use the array list object like this arr list, and directly it will print. So let me execute the code, run as Java application. So the length is 4, 4 values I have inserted, and all these 4 values are printed directly. You can do. In case of array you cannot do, but in case of a Java collection array list, it is supporting. So directly if you are giving the variable name, array list variable name, it will give in this bracket. So all these values are printed, and if I go back the points, heterogeneous data is supported. This is fine. Insertion order is preserved in an index format. So insertion order, 100 is inserted first, Swaroop is inserted next, 2, 3, 4 is inserted, true is inserted. All the insertion order is maintained, right? So the insertion order is maintained, and duplicate values. If you want to see the duplicate values, what you can do? ArrayList dot add of I can give 100 one more time. I can give any number of times. So duplicate is totally supported in case of ArrayList. So duplicates are supported, and I will execute and show you. So duplicates are supported, and multiple null values are also supported. So null in the sense you have to give null null. Null means there is no value. It is like it is not even empty. Empty is different, but null is means it's not initialized with any value. Null is means it's not initialized with any value. We need to add to initialize the value. That is something called as null in programming. So even null values are supported multiple times. Single null or multiple nulls you can do. Duplicates are supported. And the fifth point is array list is dynamic array, right? So even it is dynamic. During the variable declaration, I did not specify the size of the array list, but during the runtime, I am inserting multiple values any number of times. So using the add method, I can insert any number of times. So it is a dynamic array. If I execute this, so the insertion order is preserved in this case. Duplicates are supported, multiple null values are supported, and it support heterogeneous data. So if you want to restrict to single type of data, use this third declaration. If you want to support multiple types of data, use this first declaration. And second one is also fine. First and second both are same. And third way also you can do for single data type. And the second statement you can also pass this integer. If I am passing list, this way also it is possible. So even you can do this way also. This is a fourth way. So these two are passing the data type. These two are not passing any data type. So these are four ways. The first thing is about declaration part. These are four different ways, and I am inserting some values using the add method, using the size method, and then I am directly printing those values on the console. And let me execute it. So run as Java application. Suppose I want to delete some value of this duplicates are there, right? 100 I want to delete. It is stored as an index, right? As I told, index is storing. So the index will start with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 value, 8 values are there totally. So 8 values are there, and I want to remove some value from one of the index. So the next topic is about removing the elements. I want to remove only one value. Suppose any value. Let me think like I want to remove this 100. So what is the index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So fifth index I want to remove. How to do that? ArrayList dot remove we have to use and specify the index. So 5 I need to specify, and again print the ArrayList one more time. Then you will see the difference. So using this remove method, you can able to remove the values. Run as Java application. You can see this 100, second 100 is removed, right? So the remove method is for removing the elements. And the next thing is about inserting an element at specific index. This inserting element is slightly different from adding. Adding is always at the end of the array list. This if I am giving here ARR list of add one more time and give like 500, so this will be added at the end of the array list at the last index. But in case of inserting at the specific index, I have to pass the index also. ARR list dot, there is again a add method only. It is an overloaded method. So the second method I have to take. Here what I should do, I should specify the index. Suppose 0, 1, 2, 3. At the third index I want to insert. So third index you pass, and you can pass any value. I am putting like Swaroop, Nadella I am giving. So it will get inserted at the third index 0, 1, 2, 3. And I have to also print it to view it on the console. Run as Java application. So Swaroop Nadella is inserted right at the third index 0, 1, 2, 3 at the third index. This is inserting at the specific index. This is different from inserting at the end of the array list. Both are different. Both are using add method only, but this is an overloaded method which is taking the index and also the value. Both we are passing. And in this case, only the index we are like value we are passing. It will add at the end of the array list, but this will add at the middle of the array list based on the index, whatever index you are giving. And suppose you want to modify or change the value at a specific index. Modify at specific index in array list. There is a method called set, and if I want to modify this true, so 3 index 4. So at the index 4 I want to modify the value and say like any other test, I want to put it as a string there. Instead of true I want to put test there. So using this set method you can do, and after doing that again print the array list. Run as Java application. So this is about modifying. So I have modified. Next thing is retrieving the value at specific index. This is using the get method. Let me print that value arr list dot get. Get method you can pass the index. Let me retrieve Swaroop Nadella. So the index is 3. So the index 3 is retrieved in this case. Get method 3 index is retrieved. So this is about retrieving the value. So get method is used. Add method is used for adding the element. Set method is used for updating the element. Get is used for retrieving the element. After retrieving the values, the next one is printing the entire values on the console from the array list. So if you are passing the array list variable directly, the object directly, you are able to print the values in this format. Along with that, if you want to iterate each and every element by element, so 100 Swaroop 234.567, if you want to iterate through each and every index, right, that you can do in multiple ways. So the first way is using the index. You can use this get method, whatever method we have seen previously. Using a for loop, I will be retrieving all the elements. Retrieve all elements from array list with index. So the first way is using the for loop, regular for loop. So regular for loop, how we will write int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to what is the variable here, arr list dot, we have to take the size. If I am giving equal to, then I need to put -1 here. I plus plus, every iteration I need to increment by 1. And in case you want to give arr.list, you need to give here less than symbol, do not give equal to. Since you are starting with 0, you should end with -1, size -1. This is similar to how we are doing array.length -1. For regular arrays, it is length, and for array list, it is size method you need to use. So for loop I am using, and inside the for loop, what I should write? Do sysout and system.out.println, and use this array list variable and use the get method and pass the index I. Now run as Java application. So up to this, the code we have already seen. So after this, we are having 100 at the first 0th index, Swaroop at the first index, second index is 234.567, the third index is Swaroop Nadella, the next is test 100, null 500. So all the values are printed using a for loop successfully. So I am going to comment out this one. So this is one way of iterating through the loop using a for loop. And there is also an enhanced for loop or for each loop also. We will say it different ways, like for enhanced for loop or for each loop. So in this case, no need to pass any kind of index. We don't need to iterate like this using an index I equal to 0, I plus plus. We don't need to do that. We will write a simple code here. So how you should pass it here? So here I didn't pass any generic for this variable creation, right? So whatever value I'm passing, I'm storing here, it is a value of the type object. So it is a raw type. If you place the cursor here, it is saying array list is a raw type. Raw type means it's not having any specific type of the data type. So the any class type or any interface, I didn't specify anything, right? So every value here will be an type of object. Object is the super class of all the classes, and every data type you can it will be supporting. So in this case, I am not specifying any data type, right? So if I specify integer wrapper class, then only integer I can store. But in this case, I did not specify while creating. So it will be of the type of object here. Object means every type it is supporting. So I can take a variable of x and pass this array list. So this statement will help me to iterate to the entire elements of this array list one by one. So every element can be stored in the object data type. So object is a super class, and even the primitive types or user defined types, any class or anything I can store in the object. Since here generic data, I'm taking heterogeneous data, right? Different data. This is a raw type. That means object type I should take. If I am taking only integer, then only numbers I need to store. So for this case, we have to use object and then print that one. So x you need to print every iteration. The one value will retrieve from the array list and it will store into the x, and the variable name can be anything. So I have taken x here. Now run as Java application. So this is similar way, 100 Swaroop, and every value is printed in a new line. All these elements. So this is how you can use an enhanced for loop. Apart from this, there is a third approach also, which is using some new concept called as iterator. Iterator is specifically used only for Java collections. So iterator is a interface in Java collections. So iterator is one of the new terminology we are using here. So in collections, iterator is an interface, and every array list is a class, and similarly HashSet and HashMap, all these things are classes. So these classes is having a specific method called as iterator. So the iterator interface is implemented into this using the iterator method, and you can use it to navigate through each and every element. There is a specific syntax you have to follow. So I'm commenting the previous code for enhanced for loop, and iterator also you can use either one of these three approaches you can use in your coding. So it's not mandatory that you have to use only for loop or only enhanced for loop or in this way. So using a regular for loop, you can even iterate in the reverse order, but enhanced for loop only in the forward direction. Even iterator also in the forward direction only. So how you can create the object for this? You have to write iterator and give a variable name. And after this, you have to pass the array list variable and give iterator. So in this statement, this iterator it is the reference variable I am creating, and arr dot arr list dot iterator. This is the method that will help me to iterate through the entire array list. So here iterator, if I do control click on this iterator, it will go to some iterator dot class. So you can see public interface iterator, and it will accept one generic here. So e generic like yesterday we discussed about generic. So it is accepting an element e generic. So in this case, since it is a raw type and I'm not passing any generic here, so I don't need to pass any generic in this case. So let me continue. So after this, I can use a while loop. So I can use a while loop, and inside while loop I should put a condition. So id dot has next. There is a method called has next. In the iterator interface, there is a has next method that is implemented inside the array list. So if you click on this iterator, so what I have done, arr list dot iterator, I have clicked on it. It will open the array list dot class. So this iterator is a method which is returning the iterator interface. So we don't need to know these things, but you can remember if anyone asks you in the interview, iterator is an interface. Iterator is not a class. ArrayList is an interface class, but iterator is an interface. ArrayList is a class. So list and set and map, all these are interfaces. Iterator is also interface. ArrayList is a class. So hashNext is a method which will decide, right? HashNext is a method which will return a boolean value. Whenever an element is available in the array list, it will return true. Returns true if the iteration has more elements. So it will return false whenever no elements are available inside the array list. So if it is false, means this while loop will break and code will continue with the subsequent lines of code. So while loop we are going to use in this case. So hashNext method will be returning boolean value if any element is there. Only then the code will go inside. So after this, you can write any kind of code. I am trying to print it here. So id dot next you need to use. So this next method, what it will do, whenever you are inside an while loop and you are using this hashNext method, right? So whenever an element is there at the next location, it will try to move to that location in the next position and retrieve that value, and that value you can print on the console. Even if you want to assign it to a different variable name and do some other operations, you can do that. During automation, we will do something like that. But here I am printing on the console. Run as Java application. So I didn't save it. Click on OK. It will save. So the iterator also works the same way. 100, Swaroop, and all the other things are printed correctly. So the last, this is the array list values we are having. So 100 Swaroop and 234 Swaroop Nadella test 100 null 500. So all these values are printed properly using the iterator. So the iterator code maybe looks tricky or difficult for the first time when you are seeing. So you have to practice it at least 2-3 times. So create an iterator reference variable. Iterator is an interface. Iterator it you can give any name equal to ArrayList variable dot iterator is a method which is implemented inside the ArrayList class. ArrayList is a class, and iterator is a method which is implemented inside the ArrayList. So there is also an HashNext method which is if you click on click on HashNext, it will again go to this iterator interface. So there is a HashNext method and it returns the next element in the iteration. So I'm closing these dot classes. So this will return a boolean value whenever a next element is there, then only this loop will continue. If there is no element is available in the next position, no need to proceed further. So this loop will break. If any element is there, then the iterator will proceed to the next element, and it will print the value at the next position. You can assign even this one. You can what you can do, since this is a object variable, right? So you can also do this way also. I am printing here, but if you want to assign it to a different variable or do some other operations, you can do all those things. So iterator is working fine. And there are few more methods. So suppose you want to check whether an array list is empty or not. Checking array list is empty or not. So there is an inbuilt method ArrayList dot is empty. Right now the array list is not empty. So what is empty method will return? It will return either true or false, right? So since this is not empty, it will return false in this case. If you want to print it on the console, put it in a print statement, and it will return false because the array list is not empty. So the last one is the boolean value false. Since it is not empty, it will return false here. And there is few more methods. So these are not frequently used, but you should be aware of some of these. So there are 2 3 more methods. Suppose you want to remove some of the elements. So remove some elements from the array list. So how can you remove the some of the elements? I'm not trying to remove all the elements, but I want to remove some of the elements. So if I execute it before removing, so let me check. So these are all the elements that are available inside the. Let me copy this. So close the console. So I'm pasting this text here, and let me comment out this code. So these are the elements that are currently I'm having. So what I am trying to do now, so I will try to remove like Swaroop, Nadella, test I want to remove, and I also want to remove some other value. Let me take 500 I want to remove. So in case you want to remove multiple values, what you need to do, apart from this already present array list, you need to declare one more array list. So I'm declaring one more array list saying list2. So in this array list, I am going to add the values that I am going to remove. So I want to remove Swaroop Nadella text and list2 dot add of suppose I want to remove this null also I want to remove. Null I want to remove. List2 dot add of I want to remove even 500. So all these three I want to remove. So why I created new one you will understand now. So uh, I need to use this ARR list which is an existing variable already. So use the remove all method, and inside that I need to pass another collection. So here our collection is list2. So list2 is having only 3 elements, but this ARR list is having more than 8 or 9 elements are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Total 9 elements are there. Only 3 elements I want to remove. So I cannot pick one by one everything. You can do like that using this remove method. So there is a remove method, right? You can use the index. Every index if you are passing, that index will get removed. But if I want to remove some of the multiple elements, then you have to define another array list and pass that array list using the removal method. So removal method will accept a collection. So it can be either array list or it can be hash set or hash. either ArrayList or HashSet you can pass it here. So right now we are learning ArrayList, so you can pass another ArrayList which is having some elements which you want to remove. So after you are performing that action, you can print the values one more time. ARR list you need to print one more time. So let me execute this code, run as Java application. So these are my existing values, and whatever is printing in between is because of iterator and isEmpty method. And after that you can see that 100 Swaroop and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and Swaroop Nadella is removed, and test is there, 100 is there, but null is removed. So null is there multiple times, but even duplicate values it is removing if you are giving at least only once also. And 500 also I have given. So all the duplicates also it is removing in this case. So all the remaining values are left out. So the size of this array list is now 5. Previously it was 9, and it removed even the duplicates. So this way you can remove some of the elements using another array list. So this is one example. So I'm trying to use all the inbuilt methods only. Here I have not used any custom methods. So you can simply use this inbuilt methods, and in case you want to remove all the elements from the array list. So how can you do that? ArrayList dot clear method is there. Removes all the elements from this list. The list will be empty after this call returns. So whenever you are executing this clear method, it will it will clear the entire array list. Nothing will be left after this. It will become an empty array list. So you can see empty brackets are there at the last method. So dot clear is simple method. It will clear everything, remove all the elements. And after doing this, previously the isEmpty method has written false. After clearing everything, suppose if I'm executing this isEmpty method, what happens? Dot isEmpty. It will return true in this case because the list is empty. True. It is empty and it is returning true. So in this case, I have taken a raw type. Uh, so let me open, and I'm going to create one more simple array list demo. ArrayList demo 2 and select main method. So let me create one array list which is of integer type. List equal to new array list, and import this. Keep the cursor and import the java.util array list. After this, pass the integer generic here. So I'm going to store only the integer values, numbers I want to store. So you cannot pass the primary primitive data type here. You have to pass the wrapper class only, or you can even pass a user defined class also in case of Java collection. So suppose you want to pass any student class or something, and list to equal to new array list. On the right side, this diamond symbol you can specify in the generic, but you don't, if you specify the class also or do not specify also, it is totally fine. Only thing, the student should be available for us somewhere, so you can import it. So in case you want to use any wrapper class or even user defined class also you can use, or anything you can use, any generic any class interface or enums, anything you can use in case of generic. So for simple coding we mostly use the wrapper classes, integers, strings, float, double, character, anything we can use. Most of the times we use in our regular coding only those things, but even user defined classes also can be passed here. So the Java collections will deal with only the objects only, it will not deal with any primitive types. But since we are using a wrapper classes, internally the conversion will happen from uh, this wrapper class data to the primitive type. It is auto conversion, like auto boxing, unboxing, all those things will internally happen. So here I am taking an array list with integer type, and like I will not repeat all the methods, but simple coding I will do here. I will only use the add method, get method, and iterator. So list dot add of, let me insert 100. I am adding 100. So list dot add of 200, list dot add of 300. So you can insert duplicate values which is supported, and it will retain those duplicates. So add of 500. Suppose I am taking total 5 values, and let me print this total values list. So let me execute it, run as Java application. So 100, 200, 300, again duplicate 200 is fine. So it will store all the duplicates also. Total 5 values I have inserted. After this, if you want to retrieve only specific value, how can you do that? Using get method you can do. List dot get of, you need to pass the index. So index 2 if I am passing, 300 will get retrieved. 300 is index. 0, it will start with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 means 300 will get retrieved. And even the iterator also you can use. The iterator code is exactly same. Only thing you can also pass the generic here. Using iterator with integer generics. Create an iterator and give id equal to list dot iterator. This is up to this we have already seen. So if you want to also pass the generic, you have to pass it like this. So here integer I need to specify. So it will support only the integer type. So this array list is declared for only the integer type. So this is also going to support only integer type. Also import this from the java.util. So after you are importing, the error is gone here. Now you can use the while loop again, the same case. So id dot hash next, and inside the loop you can print it id dot next. So let me run as Java application. So 100, 200, 300, 200, 500, and index 2 I'm retrieving. After that all the 5 values I'm printing using the iterator. So only the it dot next will retrieve the next value if you are using within a loop. In case you are using outside the loop, right? Suppose I want to print a value using it dot next. I am doing it outside the loop. Run as Java application. So in order to understand this, let me comment out the other things. So here the list I am printing, I am commenting this one, and let me comment out this while loop also for now. So if I am doing only it dot next, what happens? Let's see. Run as Java application. So 100, 200, 300, 200, 500. This is my array list, and 100 is only retrieved. So in case I want to put this statement one more time, 100, 200. So even within the loop, outside the loop, it will try to retrieve the next value only using this iterator object. So uh, whenever it is like moving from one index to the next index. So you are creating an variable here, and it dot next if you are giving at the first iteration, it will like the first statement it is calling, right? It is the index is pointing to the first location. The next time you are calling the it dot next again, it will point to the next element. So until you have the elements, it will proceed, but the hash next method is the method you have to use so that you will stop whenever you want, right? You cannot put this it dot next multiple times. For that reason, you have to use a while loop so that even if 100 elements are there, everything is iterated using this hash next method. It will decide like whether if any next element is there, then only the loop will continue. So this way you can define like I have showed you for integer, so you can also try it out for float, string, or double values or boolean or any other values also you can try it out. So all these properties which we have seen previously, it is supporting for array lists. So like if you are declaring a raw type, right, then it will support all the values. It's like object, every object it is supporting, and insertion order is preserved using the index. So index are supported in array list. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Indexes are supported. Whenever index is supported, it will be insertion order is preserved in this case, and duplicate values are supported. Multiple null values are supported. So since duplicates are supported, multiple null is also supported. And array list is a dynamic array, and we don't specify the size when we are declaring the object. So you can insert any number of values during the runtime. So this is the concept of array list. So array list topic is done. So try to practice it. It's an important thing in coding. ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap. These are frequently we are going to use in coding, and coding interviews also people will ask. So first of all, practice the basic things. So after that, pick some coding problems and you can continue to practice. At least 10-20 problems if you practice, you will remember the required methods. So we'll move to the next topic of HashSet. So ArrayList is done. So the next one is HashSet. If I go back to the previous session, so this diagram I have showed you, right? Collection is an interface and it extends into the list interface, and it implements into the ArrayList class. So ArrayList topic is done. Now the collection is extending into the set interface, and then it is implementing into the HashSet class. So we are discussing about HashSet today. So uh, it is also belongs to collection only. Collection is an interface and it will extend into the set interface and it will implement the HashSet class. So let's discuss the topic of HashSet, and we will also write similar inbuilt methods. Using that, we will discuss some of them. So HashSet is a class which implements set interface. Set is an interface in Java collections, and HashSet is a class which is implementing the set interface. And HashSet also can support like heterogeneous data. Heterogeneous in the sense multiple data types you can able to store using the object raw type you can create, and you can store multiple heterogeneous data, and this is supported. It is allowed. And the next point is it will not preserve the insertion order. Insertion order is not preserved. No index concept. In HashSet there is no concept of index here. In ArrayList you are having index, but in case of HashSet it will use some hashing logic. So whenever it use some hashing logic, there is no concept of index. In case of array HashSet, there is no index concept, and whenever you are inserting an element into the HashSet, the order will not be preserved. Everything will be randomly placed, and you cannot use any index to retrieve any value. So this is an important property. So insertion order is not preserved, and duplicate elements are not allowed. So if you are trying to insert a duplicate elements, it will be ignored, and there will not be any error thrown. So that we will see during the coding, and even if you are trying to insert the same element one more time, it will get ignored. There won't be any error. No error will be thrown, but duplicates will get ignored in case of hash set. And multiple null values are not supported. So since it do not allow the duplicates, only single null we can store. Even if you are inserting one more null value, that will get ignored. As I told, it will get ignored and there won't be any error. Only single null is supported. So if you are inserting multiple null also, one of the null will be stored and other null will be ignored, or it will be overridden. And similar to ArrayList, HashSet is also dynamic, and you can store multiple values during the runtime. And we don't specify any kind of size or anything. It's not like similar to, it's not like arrays. Arrays is regular thing in Java programming where we specify the size of the array, but ArrayList and HashSet you don't specify the size. So HashSet is also dynamic, and we can add more values during the runtime. So no need to specify any size. So we don't have any property of specifying the size for HashSet. Now let's start writing coding on this. I'm creating a new package called day26. Click on finish. So under day26, I am creating a new class called HashSet demo. Select the main method and click on finish. So first of all, the thing is about declaration part. So declaration, there are multiple ways to do this. So first way is HashSet. So any name I can give, like a HS I am giving equal to new HashSet. So capital H, and do the import statement. Keep the cursor on this HashSet and import. So now the error is gone, but if you place the cursor, it is saying of a raw type. That means you can store any kind of objects in this case. It's not any specific type. So this is one way. And the another way is using the set interface. So you can create like some set interface you can assign, and using the parent interface I can create a child class object. So this is the inheritance concept I am using here. So using the parent class reference variable, creating the child class object. This is also possible. This is one way, this is another way. And there is a third way using the generic, you can pass the integer, anything like integer as an example. Similarly, you can create any kind of hash set and give bracket, and if you are giving generic you have to pass the diamond also, this symbol you have to pass. You can also specify integer here, which is optional. If you are specifying also, it is totally okay. So three ways you can declare the hash set. Similar to the array list, this is also similar concept. So you can use the raw type. It can store any kind of object. It can store primitive types or user defined classes also. It can store. It can store strings also. Anything you can store, and set interface also you can use. And if you want to store only integers, right? If you want to make the hash set variable as type safe. Type safety means only integer, only specific type you want to store. Then type safety concept will come. So you can store only the specific type. So what I will do, I will comment out the second and third case, and let's try to store objects random, like different kind of objects we will try to store now. So the declaration part is done. Now adding elements into the hash set. So using this hash set variable, I can use the add method, and this is similar. So how the array list we are using, you can use the add method, and you can insert multiple kinds of variables values. So I can also store boolean also. HS dot add of, I can also store like floating point values. Even I can store even null values also. Null I can store. So as I told, the duplicates it's not going to support. So if I'm trying to add 100 one more time, there won't be any error. 200 I am trying. So if it is unique value, it will insert. If it is a duplicate means it will insert anyway, but if it is already present, it will get removed. It will get ignored. The second instance you are inserting. Uh, so you can also insert null value one more time. Multiple null values, it will get ignored. Only one null it will store. So up to this is fine. And if you want to print the values on the console, this is similar way. You can use the hash set variable and directly print on the console. So let me run a Java application. So here you can see that I have inserted 100 at the first instance, Swaroop, true, and I have inserted in a particular order, but the insertion order is not preserved. It's not following any index logic, so insertion order is not preserved. So it supports heterogeneous data whenever you are not specifying any generic value. So it supports whenever it is a raw type object, right? It can support any kind of data, and the insertion order is not preserved. What is mean by insertion order? First I'm inserting 100, then Swaroop, then true, then 231. But you can see whenever I'm printing on the console, it's in a random order. So only the array list will preserve the insertion order, but a hash set will not preserve the insertion order. It will use some logic of hashing internally, which we don't need to learn that, but it will not preserve the insertion order, and no index is supported. You cannot use any index kind of method for retrieving data. So these are important points. So insertion order is not preserved, and the next thing is about duplicates. So 100 I have inserted two times. You can see 100 is there only once, and null I have inserted two times, but null is there only once, right? So duplicates are removed. You can try to insert Swaroop also second time. So let me run as Java application one more time. So even the Swaroop is removed in this case. So duplicates are not supported. It will ignore and only one time it will store. This is the main importance of HashSet. HashSet will store only unique values. Duplicates are not supported, allowed or supported, and only unique values are stored. And next thing is multiple null values are not supported. So null I am inserting two times, so only one null is there. So that point is done. And hash set is dynamic. So previously I have executed up to this, and I have added one more object, right? So this way you can add any number of objects and there is no specified size. It is dynamic, and you can define any kind of any number of objects in the runtime and continue to add. There is no limit here. You can add 100 also. So this is about adding the elements into the hash set. Now let me try to remove the element. Remove element from the hash set. So hashchess dot remove. There is a method called remove, and suppose I want to remove 100. I want to remove. After you remove, you have to print it one more time so that you can see what content is there inside the hash set. So I am removing the 100. Run a Java application. So 100 is removed. Using the remove method, you have to pass the value only here. There is no logic of index. In case of array list, you have passed the index. If I go back and check the array list, there is a remove method. So in the remove method, if I place the cursor, here you are passing the index, but in case of hash set, there is no index logic. So you have to pass the value only. Pass the value to remove it. So this is about removing an element. And suppose I want to insert some element in the middle of the hash set. Is it possible? It is actually not possible because there is no specified order and there is no index, right? So you cannot, not possible to insert elements in between. So in case of array list, it is possible. There is a method for add method is there. If I go to the array list, there is an add method. You can specify the index and value. It will insert at the middle of the array list since it is following an insertion order. But in case of hash set, there is no insertion order, and whenever you are adding an element, it will be placed randomly because of hashing technique. So it's not possible. There is no such method to insert in the middle of the hash set or something. So this is not possible. And can I retrieve a specific element using index? So this is also not supported. There is no such get method. If you go to the array list, there is a get method where you have retrieved a specific index. But here there is no index, so not possible to uh, retrieve specific index. There is no such method called get method. You can try that. So hs.get. There is no get method. Get class is a different method. Get method is not there. You cannot do this. So after this, we can also convert this hash set into uh, array list. So convert the hash set into array list. So this is possible. In order to do that, first of all, you need to already have an HashSet object available, and you can insert some values into that. And you want to convert into an array list. So you can do create an array list object and give new array list. And inside the constructor, you need to pass this HashSet object. So ArrayList you need to import from java.util, and inside this new constructor object you have to pass this HashSet object. This is the syntax you need to in order to convert the hash set into the array list. So suppose you want to access these values using the index. That is not possible using the hash set because there is no index, right? You want to convert it into an array list. Then after that you can use this list object and use the index, and suppose I want to retrieve the third element, I can do that. And in case you want to print it, put in a print statement, and you can print that one. Now run as Java application. So Swaroop is at the third index 0, 1, 2, 3. Swaroop is at the third index, it is printing. So this way you can convert, and in case you want to access it using an index, that is possible. And so in case you want to retrieve all the elements, right? Previously we have seen using a for loop it is possible in case of array list, but here no index concept is there. So in order to retrieve all the elements, you cannot use a for loop. All the elements from the hash set. So regular normal for loop not possible as no index concept in hash set. So next one is we will try to use an enhanced for loop or for each loop. We can also say that as for each loop also, but how can we declare that? So you have to use a for, and inside the for, since it is a raw type, right? You have to use the object here. So first of all, pass this HS is the object for hash set, and you can specify colon and give the object. It is a type of object. Any data type you are storing here, you are storing different data types. Then it is an object category. Object is the super class of all the classes. So now pass the x, and using this enhanced for loop, you can print all the values. So 231 null and 200 Swaroop and true. Every value is printed in this case. So enhanced for loop is done. Now you can also use the iterator. So the concept is exactly same as ArrayList. So here you have to create the iterator IT object, any variable name, and use this HashSet variable and use the iterator method. After this, use the while loop and use it.hasNext and use it.next. So it.next. Okay. So let me remove that generic. So it.next. So in this case, it will print all the values on the console. So let me comment out this enhanced for loop. Iterator I am executing. So using the iterator also, I can able to navigate using the it.hasNext method. Will check whether next element is there, and next method will be using to move to the next element, and we can retrieve that value from the hash set. So this logic is exactly same as ArrayList, and there is no difference. And in case you want to clear all the elements, so the method is same as HashSet hs.clear. Now again print the hs asset. So every element will get removed in this case. So this is after clearing it became empty and empty brackets is there. And you can also use this isEmpty method is there. hs.isEmpty. Whenever it is empty, it will return true. Whenever it is not empty, if you are printing at the after you define right, it will return false. But if I am placing after clearing all the values, it will return true only. In case you are placing this statement somewhere above the clearing statement, then it will return false. So this false is from the isEmpty method before clearing. So after clearing, it became empty, and since it is empty, it is returning true. So these are all the methods that are available in the HashSet which are frequently used. And these are the important points. So for interview perspective, ArrayList, HashSet, they will ask these kind of questions. What is the difference between ArrayList and HashSet? And whether it will preserve, like simply they can ask whether insertion order is preserved or not in case of HashSet. Since there is no index, it's not preserved. Whether duplicates are supported or not, it's not supported. So this list and set we will use also in the automation for Selenium. So list is used to store the elements whenever you are retrieving some elements using the find elements method. You can store it into the array list. And in case of Windows handling, so you will be getting unique Windows strings. So that time you will understand. So in order to store unique values, you will use a hash set. So when you need to use array list and when you need to use hash set, you need to understand after whatever I told. In case you want to use preserve the insertion order and use the index in your programming, you should use array list. And if you want to support multiple null values and you want to support duplicates, and if you want to support these properties like insertion order of index and duplicates and null values multiple, then you need to use array list. And you don't have any such requirement of preserving the index, and you want to store only unique values and you don't want to store duplicates, and you don't have requirement of null value or only null value, one null value you want to store, right? Then you should prefer hash set. During the Java collections coding also, whenever you are doing practice, based on the problem statement, you should decide whether you should use the array list or hash set. In case unique values you want to store, right? You want to remove the duplicates and store unique values, then you can prefer hash set. In that problem, if you are using array list, then it will become problem, and duplicates will be there. So based on the requirement, you have to use these things. So hash set topic is done. Now let me go to HashMap. So if I open the previous day like map interface diagram, so map is an independent interface. So the collection and map is nowhere related. Both are independent. So collection is different and map is different interface. So the map interface will be implementing into the HashMap class. So HashMap is a class. HashMap is a class which implements map interface. And in case of HashMap, it will be storing the values in terms of key and value pairs. So why we need key and why we need value? Suppose you are taking any student, let's say an example. So student will have a roll number, right? Roll number, and he can also have some name. Suppose 101 is the student roll number, and the name of the student is Swaroop, and 102 is the roll number, and there can be some other name like Kumar is the student, and 103 there can be some other student like Ram, and like this you can have multiple keys, and this roll number you can consider like a key, and the value is like name, right? Key and value pairs we will store in case of hash map. In case of array list and set, we will only store single value, but in case of hash map, whenever a requirement of storing the key and value pairs, then only we will prefer hash map. So pair only it will be supporting. You cannot store only single value, then you should prefer hash set or array list. In case of hash map, key and value pairs are supported. This student, if you are taking student is suppose a class or an entity if you are thinking, so roll number and name will be there, right? So uh, you can store the key and values in case of hash map object. And if you want another example, suppose you are having something like country is there, and every country will have a capital, right? So countries will be generally unique. Suppose India, and it is having some capital. X is the capital of this, and there can be some other country like USA, and the capital of it is Y. So we don't need to know about that capital, but just I'm saying like this is an example. So you can store the unique values. So key and value you can store, and HashMap is also having certain properties. So these properties are very important. So let me go through each and every property step by step. So HashMap is a class which will implement the map interface. So let me say about the properties. So data can be stored as key value pairs. The second point is key is unique, and values can be duplicate. In case you are trying to store duplicate keys, right, it will try to replace the value only, but key will be always unique. In case you are in this example, if you are trying to insert 101, 102, 103, and at the fourth time you are inserting 101 again with a different name, then the key will not replace. So key will be the same, and the value will get replaced here. So key will be always unique in case of hash map, but the values can be duplicate. Suppose I can have 101 Swaroop and 102 Swaroop, 103 Swaroop. Multiple times duplicate is fine in case of value, but in case of key it will be always unique. Even if you are inserting 101 one more time, the previous value will be overwritten, but the unique value, unique key will be there. Value will get replaced in that case. So this is a unique property you have to say about that. And coming to the insertion order is not reserved. So this is similar to HashSet, and there is no index concept here. Index is not followed. It will also use the hashing concept, and there is no index concept in case of HashMap. So these are the three unique things. So key is unique, but the value is duplicate, so can be supported. Now let's start writing code on this. Right click and create a new class called HashMap demo. Select this main method, click on finish. So the first thing is declaration. So how can I declare? I can declare HashMap, HM is the variable, and I can specify HashMap. So now keep the cursor and import it from the java.util. So HashMap is available in java.util. So this is one way you can create the object and you can use it. And there is also another way where you can able to use the map interface and create the object for the HashMap, which is the child class. So this way also you can do. And in case you want to store it as a specific data type you want to store, right? You can either put integer, float, anything you can do. There is no limitation or anything. So integer string also I can try. So integer, float, integer, string, anything I can try. I am trying for one example only. So hm, you can put like maybe hm1 or maybe map. I'm creating some variable called map and new hash map, and inside this you can give empty diamond symbol and then give semicolon. You can also pass the integer and string in this case also, which is fine. This is optional, but if you want to store, you can store. So these three ways you can define the hash map. Either one of them you can use based on your requirement. So these first two are same only, similar. This is using the map reference. This is using the hash map reference. And in this case, you are specifying like you are forcing the compiler to treat it like only integer and string are supported. So the key will be integer and the value will be always string. So now let me try the third case. Map dot. There is a method called put method which will be helping us to add values into the hash map. Adding values into the hash map. So what are the values are there? Key and value pairs, right? So map object you can use and use the put method. There is a method called put, and you need to pass here in this case integer and string. Based on the data type, you have to use the data type. So 101 I am passing, and similar to our example, let me give Swaroop in this case. Map dot put of 102 I am giving Ram I will give. Map dot put of 103 Kumar. So like this, you can define any number of values. So in case I want to insert duplicates also, that is fine. Like 101 again I am doing. In this case, let me put Krishna. So before inserting a duplicate value, let me print that value. So HashMap HM I am printing, run as Java application. So there is an error in this case. Let's see what is the error. Okay, I need to put map here. Map is the object. So 101 is Swaroop, then 102 is Ram and Kumar. So after, let me close this console, and after I place 101 one more time, if I put this statement one more time, you can see that Swaroop is replaced with Krishna. Run as Java application. So Swaroop will get replaced with Krishna, and all the other values are same. So if in case you are inserting the duplicate of the key one more time, nothing will happen to the key, but whatever new value you are passing, right, that value will get will come into this whatever key it is holding. So that is the main thing. Key will be always unique, but values can be duplicate also. In case I want to insert here map dot put and 104 if I am giving, and in this case also I am giving Swaroop, which is totally fine. Semicolon, run as Java application. So 101 Swaroop, Ram, Kumar, and again Swaroop. So key will be unique, but value can be duplicate. So this is the property of the hash map, and in case you are trying to insert the same value one more time, then in this case that value will get replaced and nothing will happen to the key. Key will be same. And here in case of put method, there is one more property. In case suppose I'm inserting Swaroop for the first time, right? Uh, Let me try this. So instead of doing like this, what I'll do, Control X, and so I'm trying to print this value. Inside the print statement, I'm putting this one. So even the insertion will happen, and put method also will return something here. Put method in this case is returning string here. So associate the specific value of the specified key if if the map previously contained a mapping for the key, the old value is replaced. And in case there is nothing, right? So this put method will return a some value. So let me run it and check. So you can see null is displayed in this case. And in case 101, again I am trying here. I am going to put it. Let me cut it and put a print statement. So run as Java application. So in this case, null is there, and second time I'm inserting Krishna, right? Already Swaroop value is there. So that value is overridden in case of the put method, and 101 is replaced with Krishna, and the previous value will get returned by the put method. This is also sometimes people can ask, what is the functionality of the put method? If you want to understand this, maybe better I will give you in another demo class. So hash demo to main method. So let me copy some code here. So this declaration already we know. So what I will do, I will use this map object dot put method and give 101, and I am passing Swaroop here. In case you want to see what value the put method will return, that's why I am saying you. So put method will return. Now let's execute this one. Run as Java application. So put method will return a null value when the this particular key is already not having anything, right? Initially it is a new hash map, so it will not have anything. In case already some value is there, and if I am trying to insert in the same location one more time, 101, I am inserting maybe some other text, I am inserting string. In this case, what happens? It will return the previous value as the put method return type. At the first instance, nothing is there, so null is returned. In the case of second time, I am replacing it with some other value. Then the put method will be returning the previous value. Whatever value is getting overwritten, that value it will return, and the new value will get placed in that particular key. Whatever location is there, key and value pairs. So it will replace that value using this method. So this is simple one. Maybe sometimes they can ask. So here let me remove this print statement. Here it's not required. So I have taken this input, and after that this value is replaced. So up to this it's fine. You want to measure the size of the hash map. How to do that? Using the map.size. There is a method called size, and it is simple. Dot size you can use. So 4 elements are there. So total 4 is the size of this hash map. And in case you want to remove some of the key value pairs, right? Remove one key value pair. So how to remove that? Using the map, you can use the remove method, and you need to pass the key only. So in case I want to remove 104. After removing, I need to again print it in order to visualize that. map, run as Java application. So previously 101, 2, 3, 4. 104 is removed using the remove method, and even if you want to see the size of it also, you can put the size here. So it will return 3. So size is 3. So this is about using the remove method. After remove method, in case you want to retrieve some value for a given key, of an given key. So how to do that? Map dot get method is there. In the get method, you have to pass the key. So 102 I am passing here. So this get method will return the value based on the key, whatever you are specifying, it will return the value. And if you want to see that, you can print on the console. Run as Java application. So 102 is holding the value of RAM, and the next one is retrieving all the values, all the keys and values from the hash map. Okay, so there are few methods in the hash map in order to do that. If you are using the map object and using the key set, right? Key set is used to retrieve all the keys. So this is one method, and map dot in case you want to retrieve all the values, only values, you can use the values method. And in case you want to retrieve both the keys and values, you can use a method called entry set. Entry set will return both key and value. So this you can put in the print statement in order to understand it. So map dot key set is for keys, and map dot values is for values, and entry set is for both keys and values. Run as Java application. So this is for keys 101, 102, 103, and Krishna, Ram, and Kumar is the values that are left out in the hash map. After this key and value pairs, entry set will return both key and values. So this is for all keys, all values. So both key and values. So after this, the last topic in the hash map is about retrieving the data from the particular hash map. So the first way is using the for each loop or enhanced for loop. So what is the syntax for that? You have to use a for here, and here the key set is there, right? You can use this key set inside this for loop statement, and inside the print statement you can use this key in order to retrieve the value. So using the get method you can retrieve the value, right? So that way you can do. So how to do that? So let's say like we are having this integer, right? The key is integer in this case. So either you can use this integer also, you can put it here. So integer. So some variable I am specifying, and then after that map dot key set I need to pass. So Either you can put the primitive type or you wrapper class. This is totally fine because the auto wrapping will happen, the auto unboxing will happen. So since I am using integer here, let me take the integer itself, and you can create one variable, and map.keyset will return all the keys. So every key value will be assigned in every iteration. So in the print statement, what I will do, first of all, I want to retrieve the key, right? So key is already available in the K. Now I want to retrieve the value. So let me give some space. And how can I retrieve the value? Uh, Using this map object, using this get method. So map.get is the method, and inside that you can pass the key. Key is the K. So every key is being retrieved using this for loop, right? So the K you can pass, map.get you can pass and pass the key here. So both key and value you can retrieve in this way. This is one of the way. So let me execute this code. So up to this is already we have seen. So now we are seeing using the enhanced for loop. So 101 and 102, 103. So this is the key and this is the value. So using the get method only, this is already we have seen, but only using the for loop we are retrieving all the values at a time. And there is also one more way using the iterator. Using iterator also you can retrieve the values from the hash map. So in order to retrieve, right? So map object you have to use this entry set. So entry set will be returning all the key and values. So entry set dot you need to pass this iterator. So directly on the map you cannot put iterator. So this is not possible. Even if you are trying, it will not work. So first of all, this is not exactly like a array list and hash set. In case of map, first of all, you should put the entry set, which will return both key and value. On that, you need to apply the dot iterator. On the entry set, the iterator is possible. But directly on the HashMap object, you cannot directly put the iterator. This is the only change between HashMap and ArrayList or HashSet. So this is the additional step you need to do for iterator. And on the left side, you have to also give the iterator, right? You should specify iterator, and you can give id equal to. So here, apart from this, first of all, do this import statement. And if you place the cursor here, right, it is suggesting you something. Change type to iterator and entry integer string. So you need to specify something like this. Since you are giving integer and string as the generics here, key and value, you have to specify whatever it is suggesting. So let me take this suggestion, second suggestion. So this is the syntax you have to do. The integer and string is one generic and it is being passed into this entry. Entry is another, if I click on the entry, right? Entry is another interface which is taking the key and value. We don't need to know in detail, but in this case, you have to use this syntax for iterator. It's not very straightforward. In case of ArrayList or HashSet, you will simply specify only up to this. But here we are having additional step, right? Entry set is there. Entry is an additional interface you need to call, and two bracket you have to put. This is one set of diamond symbol, integer string, and again another set you need to put with the entry interface. Entry is one more interface, and that only will apply on the iterator. You cannot simply put iterator, and if you are putting like integer string, it will not work. So in this case, it will throw error. So it is a syntax error, so it will not allow. So you have to put entry also. So this thing with practice you will remember. So try to remember, or even if you don't remember, just put iterator here, and it will show you some suggestions, and you can use that suggestion, which is fine. So this is how you can create the iterator variable. After that, you can use a while loop similar to the other coding. We can use a while loop here, and inside the while loop, I can use id.hasNext, and so I need to also store the value, right? So it.next is the value that is coming. So this value is coming as a key value pair. So if you want to retrieve each and every value, it's not straightforward. Suppose I want to print it on the console. Let me print this one, it.next. So regular for loop I am commenting out. Now using the iterator, let's execute it. So dot next method, it is executing. So if you observe the entry set is printing everything. In case of it.next, it is picking each and every value. So key and value both are present inside this. So this is fine. If you want to directly print key and value directly, it.next you can use. In case you want to split key and value individually, right? So you need to write some more code. There is some syntax you have to follow. What you have to do, you have to follow the same syntax. Entry you have to give, and give integer, and string you have to specify. And after this you can specify some name, any name we can give. In small case I am giving entry here, and give dot next. So this variable why I am creating this, I am creating in order to retrieve key and value separately. If I want to do the key and value separate retrieval, I can do like this. So and use this entry dot key, get key. This is the method to retrieve individually one key value. Entry dot get value, this will retrieve one by one, every value one by one. If you are directly using it.next, it will what it will do, right? It will return both key and value directly. So as a single text it will retrieve. In case you want to retrieve only key or only value, then in that case you have to follow this syntax: entry, integer, string, and create the entry variable, and assign this it.next. So these two lines are additional in this case. So let's run it and check if it works or not. Run as Java application. So you can see like keys and values are retrieved using this get key and get value. So iterator map dot entry set, and hash next. Whenever an element is available, uh, it is taking that it.next into the entry variable, and you are taking the get key, means one key will get retrieved, and the value means get value. So this way you can also use this iterator, and you can also use this for each loop. So try to practice this. If you are doing practice, you can remember with one or two practice only, you can remember the syntax. So in case of ArrayList HashMap, it's simple, but in case of uh, HashSet and ArrayList is simple, but HashMap is slightly you have to remember the syntax, because it is dealing with both key and value, and there is no simple method. So you have to use this key set or values or entry set. Either one of these three you have to use. In case you want to clear all the values in the hash map, so the same method map.clear method you can use, and it will remove everything. And in case you want to see whether the map is empty or not, is empty method is also there. So you can execute it, and it will check whether it is empty or not. So after it is cleared, if you want to print it, you can print the map, and then you can check whether it is empty or not. So it is empty, and since it is empty, it is returning true. Is empty is true. So for HashMap, data storing and key is unique, and value can be duplicated, and insertion order is not preserved. So there is no index, right? So since there is no index only, we are using this entry set, and it is slightly complicated. If there is an index, we can easily retrieve, but in case of there is no index, we need to use the key and retrieve the value. So you can use the key and use the get method to retrieve the value. That is one way. And if you want to iterate and use the iterator, this is also fine. So these are the properties, these are the basics of HashMap. So welcome to this day 27 of Core Java. So I will discuss one of the important interview question, right, in Java collections, collection versus collections. So this is an important interview question. So you should be able to answer this question if you have learned Java collections. You should definitely answer this interview question. They can ask frequently. So you should not say that collection and collections is having one extra S. You should not say like that. So it's not a valid answer. So you should say that a collection is a different entity in Java collections and collections is a different entity in Java collections. So I will tell you the differences. So there are unique differences between both of them. When I say about collection, collection is an interface in Java. So collection is used to manipulate the group of individual objects. So in Java collections like ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap, we will be storing the objects only, right? Classes related objects like wrapper class object or user defined class objects we will store in the collection, any collection. ArrayList is one collection, HashSet is one collection, and HashMap is also another collection, but it doesn't belong to the collection interface, but it belongs to map interface, HashMap. So anyway, we are going to store objects only in the collection. So collection is an interface and it is used to store the individual objects. So you can able to create an array list variable and store any integer wrapper class object or any string or any other user defined class object also you can store inside this. So collection is an interface and it is useful for storing the individual objects which is represented by this collection. When I talk about collections, so collections is different from collection. Collections is an class in Java. So it is also called as utility class. So collections utility class is having multiple static methods. So the methods are like sort, binary search, swap, and there are so many other methods. We are not going to frequently use these utility methods in automation purpose, but you should know the difference of collection and collections. And collections is a class in Java, utility class, and it is mainly useful for sorting any collection or doing binary search on collections like this ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap. These are there, right? We can able to perform the sorting, binary search, swapping, and so many other things are there. So all these methods are static methods. You can directly use this collections keyword and then call that method sort dot binary search dot sort dot swap, and there are some other methods like empty list, and there are so many. So this is the main difference. Collection is an interface, collections is a class. Both are not same. Let me go to the project and create a new package. Day 27. Click on finish. So under day 27, I'm going to create a new class. Let me say like collections demo. Select main method, click on finish. So I'm not going to write any program, but I am going to show you the difference between collection and collections. So first of all, let's write collection and put C, right? So collection. It is there as part of java.util package. So if I import that, after importing, if you place the cursor, it is saying like raw type. So let me take like, let me pass integer. So the error is gone now. So if you place the cursor on this, right, the root interface in the collection hierarchy. So java.util.collection is a root interface in the collection hierarchy. And collection represents a group of objects also known as elements. So some collections allow duplicate elements, others do not. So ArrayList supports duplicates, but HashSet do not support the duplicate elements. So we don't need to by heart this definition, but collection is a root interface, and it represents a group of objects also known as elements. It can be called as objects or elements, and some collections like ArrayList will be supporting duplicates, and HashSet will not support any duplicates. So HashSet will store only unique values. So if I do control click on this collection text, right, I'm placing my cursor here and doing control click on this, then it is going to this collection dot class. So here you can see public interface. So this is an interface, and this interface is extending from the iterable interface. So this one I have showed you during the previous collections classes uh, in terms of the hierarchy with a diagram, right? So iterable is the parent interface, so collection is the child interface. So collection will be again inherited into the list and set interfaces. So from there the array list and hash set and all the other things will come. So refer that collection hierarchy which I discussed previously, so that hierarchy will be useful to understand everything. And also from the interview perspective, sometimes they can ask what is the parent interface, what is the child interface, something like that. So you have to be able to at least have a high level understanding. You don't need to memorize or do anything. So just understand. So this is about collection. So it is an interface. Now let's try collections. So collections dot sort. So collections dot sort, collections is also as part of java.util only. It will be part of java.util, and it is a class and it is having certain methods. So here you can pass any array list. Generally the sort method will accept the list interface object. So you can pass array list inside the collections sort method. And if I again write collections dot, and you can see that there are so many other methods: add, A, LIFO, Q, binary search, checked collections, and sorted, checked, sorted map, empty list. And there are so many. We don't use these things regularly. Whenever you have a requirement, you can use these things, but don't need to worry about these things we don't use. So mostly uh, like in the today's program, we'll discuss one or two of these things like sorted and reverse order. Two things I will show you during the today's program. But why I am showing you these things? So all these methods are static methods. If I place the cursor on this, uh, even this sort is it should be a static method. So let me click on this. Control click. So you can see void sort is there, and it is a public static method. So this one you don't need to worry. Only thing sort method is public static. So all the methods inside the collection class are static methods. So this is a utility class, and this utility class will provide some methods, which these methods will help us to perform certain activities on the Java collections, like these collections. So like array list, hash set. Let's take these three we learned previously. So on array list, you can able to perform the sort, and on set also some operations can be done. So wherever it is required, we are going to use. So you can say these differences. This should be more than enough. So if anybody asks you in interview, this is very rarely asked, but maybe asked sometimes. So collection is interface and collections is a class, and you can search about it, and if you are more interested you can do some practice of some of the programs using these things. So using collection we don't write any programs mostly because it is an interface, parent interface, right? So collections we can write so many programs. So today one program I'll show you for sorting array list, and those things we'll see. So yeah, binary search, I'm just writing this and I'm closing this one. So just this is collection demo is just for understanding. So this collection demo is for understanding. This is an interface, and this is a collections is a class, and it has some methods. That's it. So this is about the differences. So this is important. Just Simple only. You can try to remember this. Now we will write one Java program. So this is frequently asked in interviews most of the times. So how to count occurrences of each character in an given string. So let's say like I am given with one string, right? So I can take any string. So as an example, first of all, I am taking this string. So in this string, what is there? There are multiple duplicate values are there. So if I say like A is there for 3 times, B is there for 2 times, C is there for 4 times, D is there for 3 times. So like this, any string if you take, sometimes it can have only one also. If I take another string str1 equal to, if I am giving test. So here what is there? Everything is, I mean, T is repeated twice, but E and S is there only once. So if you take any input, the output should come like this. So this is their expectation that the interviewer is also looking for. They can also verbally explain like you take this input of this string and this kind of output I am expecting, like whatever character is there, the number of repetitions of that character or the occurrences of that character should be coming in the output. So this can be solved in multiple ways. Any programming question can be solved in multiple ways. There is no single solution. So I will be solving it using HashMap today. So this will help you to understand the HashMap methods and how to use the HashMap also better. For understanding purpose of HashMap, I am saying you. You can also try to solve other HashMap related programs. It will help you to build the programming logic, and using HashMap it is quite easy. Like you can put a single for loop and one if condition to complete this program. But if you are trying to use any for loops or arrays also, you can solve these kind of problems. But it will be slightly complex and it takes time to even build the logic. Uh, with practice only that can come. If we are not practicing regularly, sometimes it will be difficult. So with practice, we can solve it easily. Now HashMap I will use to solve this problem. So HashMap will have both key and value pairs. So HashMap, the values are stored in terms of key and value pairs. Here the key is the character and the value is the integer value, which is the repetition count of the particular character. So I am going to store in the key the character, and the value I will store the integer. So why I am saying character for key? Because A, B, C, these are all characters, character data type, and the numbers 4, 3, 2, and all these are numbers, right? So I will store these things in terms of character and integer. So these two are wrapper classes. So character is one wrapper class and integer is one wrapper class. So these two I am going to use in terms of the key and value for declaring the hash map, and I'll write a program around that. So first of all, let's start writing this program. Create a new class. So count occurrences in string. So any name I can specify, like count occurrences of characters in a string. Click on finish. So I am given with a string str equal to, let me take this one. So I will copy here and paste here. So string str. So this is having some duplicate values, right? Now what I will do, I will not write the program here. If I write the program here, what is the problem? Is that I can able to execute with only one input. But if I want to like parameterize my string, right? So, what I will do, I will create another method. So I'm going to take the method like this. So in this method, I will build the logic. And if you are solving some problems in Lead Code or HackerRank or any other website, right? Generally, what happens? You will be given with some method, and that method will be taken with some input. So in this main method, what I will do, I will pass different kinds of inputs. So one input is this one, but apart from this, I will pass multiple inputs and try to test this method whether it will work or not for multiple kinds of inputs. Even if you are solving with HackerRank or Lead Code or any other coding websites, right? So there we need to pass different inputs and check whether all the possible combinations are working or not. That is like even the developers will write a unit test cases on the any methods. So if they are writing some code, they will write unit test cases, right? So in the unit test cases also, they will be taking different inputs to that method, whatever they have written, and try to cover, check and whether all the possible combinations are working or not, like code coverage and other things they will check. Here also, even in coding, if you are targeting some good product companies, you should start working on HackerRank and Lead Code. And I'm not saying about data structures, but even the basic problems on arrays and strings also, you can take any website and start solving them. That will help you to build the logic. And first of all, let me build the logic in this method, and I'll pass some inputs from here. So let's forget about main method and start writing code inside this method for time being. So I am taking with one input, I am already getting into this get occurrences method. So the input is coming into this. Now, as I told, I will be declaring one hash map. So hash map I am taking with character and integer and give the name as map, and you can give new hash map, and you can if you want to type, you can type it. So you can give the diamond symbol, and after that you can give the brackets. And the error is due to the import statement. So import it. So here the character in integer, you can also pass it here even if you don't pass these generics, right? So these are generics in Java. So if you even if you are not passing on the right side, it is totally fine. There is no error and it won't be any problem. So this is the declaration of a hash map. After this, the first step is we are going to convert all these characters, whatever is coming, the entire string I am going to convert it into character array. How can I do that? So char ch array, I am taking one character array, and this str whatever is coming, if you are applying to char array method, so it will be converted into the character array. If I place the cursor here, character array is there. Convert this string into a new character array. So I need to convert this into a character array first. So after that, I will be having the access to every character using this array index. So I can use this index and then access every character. So that's why I'm converting into a character array. So after this, I need to iterate through each and every character, right? So how can I do that? I can use either regular for loop or enhanced for loop, or even iterator also we can use. So I'm going to use an enhanced for loop for simplicity. So enhanced for loop, how can I write? So for I have to give and give these brackets, and after that inside what I have to do, char, and I'm giving some variable, and we can give ch array. So this is the syntax for enhanced for loop or for each loop, whatever name. So this is the syntax. So it is very simple to understand, right? So you can follow this approach, and after this, this loop is I have written for iterating through the entire character array. After this, uh, first of all, I what I am trying to do, I am going to insert each and every character into this hash map. So hash map will store in key and value pairs. So if A is, first of all, I am inserting, right? Then I need to increment the value of the, like the key I am inserting A means first time I need to increment the value plus 1 I need to do. And if A is coming for the second time again, I have to again use the put method. HashMap is having a put method. So using the A key, I can again increment it with +1 again. So I need to increment it again and again. So how the logic works? So first of all, you will use the map object and use the put method. And suppose A is there, right? So A, for the first time, the key is A and the value will be 1. You have to write like this for the first time. Since the map is empty for the first time, you have to insert the key and then put the value as 1. So A is there only once for the first iteration, right? So if I take the first character, it is there only once. So the second iteration, if A is coming again, let's say, then again A should give, and whatever previous value is there, right? That value you have to give whatever value is there previously, and then give +1 you have to do. So this logic I am going to write in this code inside this for loop. So I have to write if else conditions here. Why I am writing if else condition? Suppose the map is initially empty and I need to insert some values. So for the first time I can write this code directly, like saying like a key I am inserting, one I am entering. But second time what happens? I need to check whether this A is already present or not, right? If A is already present, then only I am going to increment this. If I need to increment, first of all, I need to check whether the hash map is already having the A or not. So for that, there is one method. If you take this map variable, map is the variable I have created. So map dot contains key, right? So contains key is the method that is available, which will check whether the A is already there in the map or not. If A is there, then only I will increment. So this step I will do only when A is there and I need to increment the value. So put the if condition and I am going to pass C here. So C is the key. Sorry, C is the string, right? So it is coming from the string, and this A is a key here. So character is the key. So I need to pass contains key and this character. So whenever uh, the map is already having the key value, then I need to increment it. If the map is not having any key already, then the map is empty for that character, then the else block will execute. First of all, I am trying to check whenever the map is already having an element. For second statement I am saying. So here what you have to do, map dot put you have to do. Put is the method which is available to insert the elements into the map. So you have to pass this character C here. C is the key character, and value how can I get? Map dot get. There is the get method, you have to pass the key. So suppose A is the first character that is coming into this character array, and the first iteration A is coming. So it will be inserted in the else block. So first of all, let's think like first thing is already done and the element is there already in the map. Then this if condition will execute, and the contains key checks whether the element is there in the map or not. The element is there, so this if condition will come inside, and now we need to increment the value with +1. So now I am trying to do this one. I will tell you this one also. So first of all, I am trying to do the like incrementing the value for the character. So use the put method. I am trying to insert for the particular character. Try to get the old value. Map dot get of the character, it will bring the old value, and I need to increment with +1. So this statement is only for whenever the map is already having some elements. Suppose there is no elements, right? So in the else block I need to write map dot put of C, and the value I need to put it as 1. So this code will execute whenever an element is inserted for the first time, and this code will execute whenever an element is inserted for the second time. So second time the first value will be brought using the get method, and it is incremented every time. So first of all, let me write this. So this is the code we have to write. So this is a simple code. convert to character array and use the enhanced for loop and write these two if conditions. So first of all, let's execute it and I will debug also for 5 minutes. We can debug and understand this. So this is the input string. I am going to pass the input string here, and then I am going to print the map. So let's see whether this is working. So what I will do, instead of writing like this, get occurrences method directly I will call here. So this string I am going to directly pass in the get occurrences method. Now right click and run as Java application. So this is the input string and HashMap is having A 3 times, B 2 times, C 4 times and D 3 times. So for this input string the output is coming as expected. Suppose I want to pass different input. So get occurrences I want to pass test. I can pass any kind of input, right? So whatever input I am passing, the output should be coming correctly according to the input. So in product-based companies interviews also mostly they will check for whether your program will cover all possible inputs or not. If any hacker rank test or lead code, if you are checking like um, whether you are covering all possible combinations for that problem, they will see. So this is a simple problem, but whenever a complex problem is there, it should cover all the kinds of inputs based on the problem statement. So if I am giving test, here you can see even the empty character is also once it is there, so it is even counting the empty character. And S is there for 2 times and T is there for 4 times, E is there for 3 times. So get occurrences of if I am giving two space and putting test and again test I am giving multiple spaces I have inserted here. So all the spaces also it should count. So this is the input and colon. So the output is counting, right? So spaces are there for 8 times and S is there for 3 times, T is there for 6 times and E is there for 3 times. So this is working fine. You can pass any kind of inputs in this way. So even I will try to pass my name and check. So let's see whether this is going to work anyway. So P is there for once and space is there for once and A is there for 3 times. R and S and all the unique characters also there for once everything. So it's working fine. So in order to understand this better, if you want, we can debug this. So toggle breakpoint here and save this program. Right click and debug as Java application. Now the code is waiting at this place. So first of all, let's see what is the value that is coming in the string. So input string is AAA, BB, CC, DDD. So this is the input string that is coming. And if you check map is initially empty is there. And character array. So character array is converting all the string into the character array. And if you go to the for loop, right, initially C is having the first character A. And CH array is having all the characters in the array format. And C is having only the first character. Now this statement is yet to be executed. So when the control is here, you cannot see any result here. So you have to click on the uh, step over F6 in the keyboard you have to do, or step over you can do. It will go to the next step. So the if condition is executed and it did not go inside. Why? Because the element is fresh element, right? It is the first time it is being inserted into the map. So the else block will execute and the character A and number 1 will be inserted into the map for the first time because A is there. The map is empty initially and After you insert for the first time only, the second time the if condition will execute. So I will do F6 again, step over. Now if I keep the cursor on the map, the A is inserted, right? A is inserted for the once. And if I do one more time, now the C is having again A, but this A is the second character. So if now the if condition is executed, why? Because the map is already having one A, right? So contains key, whether A is there or not, it is checking. If A is there, then only the if condition will go into execute, and now it will trying to update this put value and say like the A is already there and it is getting the old value and incrementing by 1. So here it is trying to get the old value and incrementing by 1. Every iteration we are going to increment it because A is there first time and then A is there for the second time and then third time. So we have to count the number of repetitions. Number of repetitions or occurrences here. So this condition will execute. Step over again. Now the if condition is executed, so else will not execute. If you come back, the map is now having A equal to 2. So the same logic will apply for the all the other characters. If I execute it multiple times, then B and C also same. So even for any any other strings also the iterations will be same. So this is a simple code. Only try to understand this enhanced for loop and converting to the character array, and these two if conditions if you can understand, right, that should be good enough to solve this problem. So this problem can be asked in different ways. So this is a simple code I have showed, but you can solve it in multiple ways based on the problem statement. So you can use the hash map and it can be quickly solved, but if you are trying with other ways like arrays or using the two for loops also you can use to solve this, but that will be slightly tricky and complicated. So uh, so use the hash map. If they don't specify anything, right, you can directly use the hash map and you can use this logic to build the logic. So if I run as Java application, so I think it's still in the debug mode. So I'm going to stop it, terminate this debug mode and run as Java application. So whatever based on the input, everything is coming correctly. So this is fine. Uh, Now in this problem itself, I don't want the count of the spaces. So if I see here, the space count is also coming. If you see space count is coming, I don't want to get the spaces count. So what I will do, I will be uh, duplicating this file and create count occurrences true string. So how I am doing? So on the left side, do click on the class file and do Control C and Control V. It will create a new file. So I am going to create another file so that this program is finding every character, and the second program, my problem statement is I do not want to count any spaces. So here ignore the spaces and count only other characters. So in order to ignore the spaces, there is another condition you have to write. So whenever you are inside the for loop, you are going character by character inside the string. So what you have to do, you have to put another if condition, and in this if condition you have to write string dot value of, and this value of method is overloaded. So what I will do, I will pass this character C. So C I need to pass, and there is a method called is blank. Whenever this particular character is empty character, right, empty in the sense space character. So whenever it is having empty, uh, uh, I want to ignore the spaces. So this is empty means this if condition will execute. So whenever it is not empty, then only the element should be inserted. Why I'm putting not? So first of all, this is what this will do. This will check whether the space is there. So this code will execute only when the if condition will pass, right? So if I put the bracket here, and after the else block I am going to put one more bracket. So this is the main if condition, and this if and else is inside this if condition. So this if condition, what will happen, string dot value of c, and whenever that character is blank, this code will execute, but I want to ignore the spaces, so I need to put not here. So string dot value of C is blank method will check whether it is an empty character or not. But I want to ignore the empty character. So whenever it is not an empty character, then on those things only I want to insert into the map. So I am going to ignore the spaces by using this not symbol. So one more time, if I want to say, if you don't understand this, so uh, this is blank method will check whether it is an space or not. So if it is a space, this if condition will execute, and this code will execute. But I don't want to have the spaces in my logic, so ignore the spaces. So you should put not. Now if I run this code one more time, all the spaces count will not work. So spaces code, you can see that spaces code is not there. So anywhere like test is having one space, but that is not coming here. And here so many spaces are there. So the space count is not coming in this logic. So using this logic, you can able to avoid the spaces, ignore the spaces using this logic. Inside the for loop, you have to put this if condition, and inside this if condition, you can pass the regular logic. So this is another logic for this program. And in case I want to get the count of only spaces and ignore all other characters, so I can write one more code file. So select this second like this count occurrences in string2.java file on the left side. Do Control C and Control V on the left side. So I am going to create this one. Open this third file, and here count only spaces. In this case, I am going to remove this not symbol. So this not symbol, if I remove, only spaces will get counted. All other characters will not be counted. So you can see this string is not having any space. So HashMap is empty after program execution. And here also no spaces, HashMap is empty. Here one space is there, so one space is counted. Here there are so many spaces, 8 spaces are there, so 8 spaces are counted. Here one space is there. So if you want to count only space character, you have to write this logic without any not. If you want to ignore the spaces, you have to use the not symbol. And whatever the first program I told, this logic will count every character, including the space, it will count. So three ways I have showed. So I will execute one by one more time. So the first program, it will count everything, even the space it will count. Here I have taken a simple for loop and if condition, else condition. That's it. I did not do anything else. So this is the first logic. And coming to second logic, I have used an if condition and I am ignoring the blank spaces. If I execute this, so all the empty character related space character related count is ignored here. So this is second example. Coming to the third example, I am counting only the spaces. So wherever space is there, there only the count is coming. Other places it is empty. HashMap is empty. So in this way, you can build the logic based on the problem statement. So try to solve some of the HashMap problems. So this is important to solve any coding solutions in the interview. One problem generally they ask on collections or any, like these are simple if you practice, but if you do not practice, this will look difficult. So practice regularly. Whatever problem I told you now, this is must, you need to definitely practice this. And one more problem I will show, like what is that problem? That problem statement, first of all, let me say. So this is a Java program to find the duplicate elements in an array using a hash set. So to solve this problem in an array, right? If an array is having certain duplicate values, so I need to detect whether a duplicate is there or not. That's what I'm going to do using a hash set. So this is my problem statement, and if I take an array, like let's say I'm having certain array. So 1, 2, 3 is there for 2 times, and 4 is there, then 5 is there for 2 times, then 6 is there, then 7 is there for 3 times. So let's say something like this. So this is my input array, and I need to use the hash set in this problem to detect whether any element is repeated more than once. If it is repeated, I need to print on the console saying this number is a duplicate value. So 3 is there for the second time. So I will say like 3 is there for the second time. It is a duplicate value. 5 is there for the second time. 7 is there for second and third time, right? So it will say like duplicate value for even that number. So in this case, HashMap is having, if suppose you have declared one variable for HashMap and you are going to use that HashMap and use the add method, right? So inside add method, let's say like I am inserting some values. So I am inserting 1. If the value is already there, the boolean value will be, the add method will return a boolean value. So add is a method, right? So it will return a boolean value. Whenever a value is inserted successfully, it will return true. So every time I am inserting some value into the hash set. So hash set I am inserting, it will return a boolean value. Add method will return a value boolean. Uh, we don't regularly use that boolean for any use case, but in case you want to check the duplicate is there or not, right? So we are going to insert every element into this hash set and check with an if condition saying whether this add method is returning true or false. If element is already not present in the hash set, then it is going to return true. So it is a unique element. So that is for the first time whenever the element is inserted into the hash set, it will return true and it is a unique element. Suppose I am inserting hatches again for the second time, then this boolean will return false. So this is a duplicate element. So add method will return a false whenever an element is already present, and it will return false, and then we should print on the console saying this is a duplicate element. So the logic is simple. Using the add method, I am going to build the logic. So let's put some name duplicate elements in array. Select the main method and click on finish. So I'm going to take the same input, whatever I told here. Let me take copy here and paste it here. And then I'm going to declare one hash set with the integer wrapper class. So keep the cursor on the hash set and do the import statement java.util. So after this, up to this is declaration of the array and declaration of the hash set variable. Now I'm going to use a simple for loop with an index I equal to 0, I less than arr dot length, I plus plus. So as I told, I'm going to insert every value using this add method, and whenever I'm checking the boolean value, if it is false, right, I'm going to print on the console. So what I will do, hs.add I'm going to do, and arr of I am going to give. Every iteration the index will increment, and each and every value I'm going to add into the hash set. So if I place the cursor on the add method, it is returning a boolean value. Add the specified element to the set if it is not already present. So if it is present means it will be returning false. If the set already contains the element, the call leaves the set unchanged and returns a false. That's what I also told. whenever an element is already present, right, this duplicate will not be again inserted into the hash set, because hash set property is only unique elements can be stored in the hash set. Second time if you are trying to add one more thing, there won't be any error, but the second instance will get ignored, and the return type will be the false. So this statement, what I will do, I will be writing in an if condition. So I am going to add the element, and whenever it is returning true, right, then only like true means it is successfully inserted. So first of all, let's execute it. So you can see that only like unique values are printed, right? In this case, only the first time whenever it is true, only it is printed. Whenever it is false, it did not print the values. So if you want to detect the duplicate values, this logic will not work. So you have to put the not symbol here. And why I am giving not symbol? Because the duplicate only I want to detect, right? So 3 is there, and 5 and 7 is there. These are the multiple duplicate values available in the array. So if I need to detect it in the condition, I need to get a false. If I need to get the false, then only duplicates are there. So if I did not give the not symbol, this will detect only the unique values. So my problem statement is not detecting the unique values. My problem statement is finding the duplicates. So I should give the not symbol, and not symbol in the sense hatches dot add will return a false, right? False of not is true. Then only this if condition will execute, and this double element whatever is getting printed, that is a duplicate value. So I am going to put a print statement saying these are duplicate values. Duplicate value I will say. So let me run as Java application. So 3 is a duplicate value, 5 is duplicate, 7 is duplicate, 7 is duplicate. So for the second time whenever this value is coming, it is saying like that is a duplicate value. So using this add method, I am writing a for loop here to iterate, and with a condition I am just checking. So this is a simple problem. Uh, So similarly, for detecting the unique values and duplicate values, you can use the hash set. So the property of hash set, right? Hash set can store only unique values. So during the collection session, I told these points repeatedly. So ArrayList will store the duplicates also. Hash set will store only unique values. So in case you missed those sessions, you have to watch that. Collections is an important session, so you have to watch that videos. If you don't remember, also try to watch and make some notes and practice. So ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap, these are important. So this problem I solved with the HashSet saying I'm adding and checking whether it is returning true or false. So this is a simple problem. Now next problem. So let me close these things. So in this problem, I'm given with some numbers. So suppose I'm adding some numbers into an array list. So I am given with, let's say like I am given with array list having some numbers in that already. So I want to uh, sort it in ascending and descending order. Sort in ascending order, sort in descending order. So I'm going to do both of these operations. I'm going to simply use this collections dot sort method. So this is straightforward. We are not going to complicate this. So using inbuilt method only I'm going to do, but the syntax, how can you do for ascending order and how can you do for descending order, that logic we will see. So this may not be asked in the interview for, but any regular coding if you want, you can sort in this way also for a large data set of array list. Uh, Sorting array list values. Select this main method and click on finish. So first of all, I am going to take an array list of integer values and give new array list of integer and keep the cursor on the array list and do the import java.util. So array list variable is created. Now using this array list variable, I am going to insert some values. So the values can be any number values. 5 values, first of all I will insert. So 20 I'm inserting, 5 I'm inserting, dot add of 50 I'm inserting. Randomly I'm inserting. I'm not following any sequence because first of all I should have an unsorted values. So 25 I'm inserting. I can insert any kind of numbers. So array list dot add of 100 I'm inserting. So 5 values I'm inserting, let's say, and print this array list first of all. Run as Java application and check whether this. So this is the array list I have taken initially. So this is the input array list. Run as Java application. So this is the input array list. Now using the collections.sort method, I am going to sort it. So there is an inbuilt method called collections.sort. Collections is a class I told. So sort, and the sort method is accepting an input of list of. So list is an interface, right? So array list also it is going to support. So I can pass the array list variable directly. So whatever values are there inside the array list, it will get sorted using this collection sort method. In the memory, the sorting will happen. Again, I need to print the values in order to check whether the sorting happened or not. So collection.sort, this will be sorting in the ascending order. Ascending means smaller to larger value. So this sorting will be in the ascending order. So this is the input array, and ascending order sorting means the number whatever is on the left side will be smaller value and the values on the right side are the larger value. Small to larger value is the ascending order sorting. And I want to have the descending order sorting also. How can I do the descending order sorting? There is a same method in collection.sort, but there is an overloaded method. If you see second method is there. So in this method, two variables I need to pass. ARR list I need to pass, and apart from this, I need to pass another collections dot reverse order. This method I need to pass. So collection dot sort. This sort is taking only single input, but this sort method is taking two inputs. So this sort is overloaded method in the collections class. So take this sort method and pass the input. And if you need in descending order, right, you have to pass the additional argument collections dot reverse order. This is an inbuilt method in the collections class. So this will make it in the descending order. Again, print this one. Here you can say like ascending order, and in this case it is descending order. Run as Java application. So you can see input and ascending order is smaller to larger value, descending order is larger to smaller value. These are example with using an inbuilt methods of collection sort to in order to form the ascending and descending order.